My name is Benjamin Turner. Most people just call me Ben. I'm a mechanic in a small town in Oregon, where the summers are long and the winters are honest. I've lived here my whole life, in the same house I grew up in, and I still drive the same truck I rebuilt with my dad back in high school. Life doesn't change much around here, at least not usually. But what happened with my son Noah changed everything I thought I knew about fatherhood, strength, and what it means to let go. Noah was always different. From the day he was born, he came into the world wide-eyed and silent, not crying like other babies. The nurse even nudged him a little harder than usual until he finally made a sound. My wife, Susan, always said he was just taking it all in. She called him our quiet thinker. And she was right. Noah never talked too much. He was never loud. Even as a toddler, he liked sitting with his books instead of running around, like most kids. I thought it was a phase. It wasn't. By the time Noah was 12, I realized he wasn't like the other boys on his baseball team. He didn't roughhouse or joke around. He was kind, polite, and always stayed close to his coach's instructions. But he lacked confidence. He'd hesitate before swinging at pitches, always second-guessing himself. I'd sit in the bleachers gripping the bench with every at-bat, wanting so badly to yell advice, but knowing that would only make him more nervous. After the games, I'd try to talk to him. Not about winning, just about giving it everything. But Noah always responded with a nod or a shrug. He never made excuses. He just didn't seem to believe he could do it, no matter how hard he tried. And that's what scared me the most. Not failure, but that fear was holding him back from ever trying at all. One night, after another quiet dinner, I walked into the garage where he was supposed to be working on a school project. Instead, I found him sitting on the floor, knees pulled up, breathing fast and shallow. His eyes darted to me in panic. I froze for a second, unsure what I was seeing. Then it hit me. My son was having a panic attack. I dropped down beside him, not sure what to do. I didn't grow up with conversations about anxiety. My father never would have allowed talk of panic or emotion. But here I was, with my son trembling in front of me, and none of that old-fashioned silence was going to help. I reached out and put my hand on his back, gently rubbing circles like I remembered Susan doing when he was little. "Take it easy, son," I whispered. "I'm right here." He didn't respond, but he didn't pull away either. That was something. We sat there for a long while, the two of us on the cold garage floor, the quiet hum of the fridge in the background. When his breathing finally slowed, he leaned into me just a little, and I felt his shoulders relax. We didn't talk much about it that night, but something changed after that. I started paying closer attention. I noticed the way his hands shook before presentations in school, the way he chewed the inside of his cheek at social gatherings, how he always made up reasons not to go to sleepovers or parties. He wasn't being dramatic. He was fighting a battle I couldn't see. Susan and I decided to get him help. We found a therapist in town named Dr. Eliza Moore. She specialized in adolescent anxiety. At first, Noah didn't want to go. He said he wasn't crazy. I sat with him on the front porch one evening, the sun low and the air smelling like pine and motor oil. "You're not crazy," I told him. "You're brave, because facing what scares you, that's real courage." He didn't say anything, but he nodded, and he went. Therapy wasn't an instant fix, but it was a start. Slowly, Noah began to open up, not just to Dr. Moore, but to us. He'd come home and mention small things, like how they talked about breathing techniques or what to do when thoughts spiraled. Susan and I started reading about anxiety too. We learned how to respond, how not to minimize what he felt, even if we didn't understand it ourselves. One night, a few months later, Noah came into the garage while I was working on an old Harley for a neighbor. He leaned against the doorframe, watching me. "Can I help?" he asked. That might not sound like a big deal, but to me, it was everything. He wanted to be around me. He wanted to try. I handed him a wrench and pointed to the carburetor. "Let's get our hands dirty." That became our routine. Every Saturday afternoon, we'd tinker in the garage. We didn't always talk. Sometimes we just worked in silence, but it was the kind of silence that felt full, not empty. He'd ask questions, and I'd let him make mistakes without jumping in too fast. He was building more than mechanical skills. He was building confidence. Then came the big surprise. One Friday night, during dinner, Noah cleared his throat. I'm thinking about trying out for the school play. I nearly dropped my fork. The play. He nodded, eyes nervous but steady. Yeah, I know it's weird, but Dr. Moore said it might help me face stuff head on. And it's a small role. I just want to try. Susan's face lit up. That's amazing, sweetie. I smiled too, though inside I was worried. The stage? Bright lights, crowds, memorizing lines? But I didn't say any of that. Instead, I said, you're going to do great. He auditioned. He got a part, a supporting role in A Midsummer Night's Dream. He played one of the mechanicals. He spent weeks rehearsing, and I watched him come home a little taller each day. Not just because he was growing, but because he was becoming someone new. Someone who believed in himself. The night of the performance, I was more nervous than he was. I sat in the front row with Susan, my hands clenched so tight my knuckles ached. When Noah stepped on stage, wearing a ridiculous costume and holding a wooden sword, my heart stopped. But then he spoke his first line and nailed it. The audience laughed in all the right places. He didn't freeze or stammer. He was alive up there. And when the final curtain fell and the cast came out to bow, Noah stood in the middle, beaming. After the show, I met him backstage. He was sweaty and exhausted, but glowing. I pulled him into a hug. I'm proud of you, I said. I hope you know that. He looked up at me, eyes a little misty. I was terrified, he admitted. Right before going on, I thought I'd pass out. What did you do? I asked. He smiled. I remembered what you said. Take it easy, son. I just kept saying it in my head. I hugged him tighter, tears pricking my own eyes. I didn't know he'd remembered that night in the garage. I didn't know those words stuck. The following year, Noah ran for class treasurer. Then he joined the yearbook committee. He still had moments, bad days, anxiety spikes, but he faced them differently. And he let us in. He told us when he needed space and when he needed support. He wasn't silent anymore. Now he's 17, driving my old truck, working weekends at a bookstore and applying to colleges. He wants to study psychology. He says he wants to help kids like himself who feel overwhelmed by a world that never slows down. The other night, he came into the garage while I was tightening the belt on the Harley's engine. He stood beside me, silent for a moment, then said, "You remember that night when I couldn't breathe and you said to take it easy?" I nodded. "That changed everything," he said.